Hi guys, in this lesson I will explain the use of iloc property in Pandas, which helps us to select and retrieve specific rows or columns based on the integer position from the dataset. Let's first create the iloc property file. Iloc property, import our Pandas library, shift enter. Okay, what is the difference between these two accessors, loc and iloc? In the previous lesson we have already covered the loc. Loc is typically used for label indexing and can access multiple columns when we are just setting the index and we have a string or text inside of the index, while iloc is used for integer indexing, which means you have to specify rows and columns based on the row and column labels in loc, while iloc is integer position based, so you have to specify rows and columns by the integer position values. That's why it's called iloc. I means itself is index. So let's first import the dataset and try to explain it in practice. Let's see CSV. Again, I will go back to my data folder, and from here I will again import my file home site by country CSV and call it here. Okay, we have imported our data, and right now these are our numeric indexing here. In the previous lesson video, after setting the string index, we were able to extract rows in different ways with loc accessors. We already know that. If I just first I will try to just remind you how does the loc works. We are just basically typing the loc, and if I type in the 0, it will print out the first row, this row, and all the column values of this row in the form of the data frame. We could even do it like that. But if we want to, again, the main purpose of using the loc is just setting the index and working with this string index labeled values here. If I just try to set the index here, index column equals, for example, as a region, click shift enter, region has been defined as the index here, and now if I just click shift enter, it will print an error. But if I try to access this within the, for example, I will type in the area, it will automatically print out or sort this data frame based on the area values. It will just automatically takes this region as the main filtered index labeled column. But in loc you can't specify the string label indexes here, these ones, like these ones. This will print out the error. Why? Because iloc only works with integer values. Usually we have integer values in the index. That's why in practice you often see iloc instead of loc. Iloc works exactly as the loc. You have to give a bracket and define the row or column name. But when we define these index strings here, iloc will not work. Let's just delete this index call, and we have appeared these index labels again with the as a numeric data. And if I just call again the data frame here, it has the index positions, integer positions, and if I try to access it with iloc right now, it will work without problems. You could see it will again print out the first row of our data set here. Okay, but if I try to access this with the iloc, kind of if just I set it again, this index, set it again, run it, and try to copy this loc formula to the iloc here and just run it, it will print an error and see that index has non-integer key. That's why it just requires here to be the integer values instead of the string. This is the first difference between iloc and loc. Okay, let's delete again. We don't need it because we have already covered the loc, and the main purpose of this video is explaining all the tricks with iloc. Okay, and now I have just called this the first row of this of our data here, If I want to call the first 6 rows, again, exactly it works as the loc. We are just calling df.iloc, and in the bracket we will just type in the 1 and 0.6, and it will print out all the rest starting from 1. Basically starting from 2, but if I type in the 0 and 6, it will print out the first 6 rows of our data set. But here is one point: we are using loc accessors. The value after the colon is included when we are using the loc. However, in iloc, the numeric index position based on selection, the last row, is exclusive. It just does not count the last position here. If I just try to call the again the same data with the loc, df loc 0.6 0:6, you could see it will start from 0 and up to this 6th row here. But in iloc, it will just count up to the 5. It will not count the last row here. This is the second difference between iloc and loc. You could see here's the difference. It counts the last row, but while this iloc does not count it. This is also considered as one of the differences between them. Okay, again, we can pull up the first 10 rows if we want. df.iloc. The first means this one. This colon means all. Just print me all these rows here, and it will print out again the first 10 rows, or all the rows after the 10. We could even type it like that. If we want to print out all the rows after the 10, we will type in the 10 and then colon here. Click Shift Enter. It will count all the rows after the 10, including the 10 itself. But to pull multiple index positions, we will type in what? df, for example, iloc. If I want to pull up or output all multiple index positions, I will type in our multiple rows. I will type in like 11s, 20, 20, 30, 33, and just entail it with 2 square brackets and click Shift Enter. It will print out these specific rows based on these indexes that we have defined here. You could see how easy it is. But in case of extracting specific columns based on row values, I will add up one thing that I have forgotten to tell related to loc. We already know that we could pick up loc with columns like that. If I type in the df loc and the first 10 rows, and then after the comma, first let's try to print it out. It will print out first, and if I want to specify the columns, this means this column means print me all columns, or we could define what with two colon. If I type in the 2, it will just skip one column and print out the next one. But if I try to, I have forgotten to tell you that I can even do what? Instead of these 2, I can extract specific columns by typing the column names inside of the this list. If I want to specific columns here, for example, region, then rate, and click Shift Enter, you could see it will print out the first 10 rows of region and rate column here. We could add even as many columns as we want depending on our data frame here. But with iloc, we are calling them with integer numbers instead of the strings, because iloc will not work with text. Yeah, if I want again to type in the same result, I will do what? Call it like df iloc, then type in the first 10 rows, and after the comma I will just create the list and type in what? Starting from 0. The location is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I want to print region and rate, region is the first and rate third column here, first and third. If I click Shift Enter, you could see the result is the same with this one. iloc works like that, while loc could work with strings. But if I type in the 1 or 3 here in the loc, it will print an error because loc does not recognize integer values as the second parameter here. Okay, again we could even type in the df.iloc, and if I want to print out for example second and fourth rows of first, second and fourth column, I will type it like that. Again, add one square bracket, and you can see we have extracted the second and fourth rows of region, subregion and count column here. So that's it for now. I think that you can see the iloc accessor has a lot more advantages over iloc because it could also pull up the column based on the column value, while iloc only works with integer values. I think that this lesson was really useful for you. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. Have a good day. Bye.